What I am about to share with you today is not just another Social Security update or a headline you scroll past and forget. This is something deeply personal, something that directly affected me and the people around me when the new 2026 Social Security rules started rolling in. When I first heard the words, "Social Security starts tomorrow," I had no idea how real and how immediate the impact would be. The changes sounded promising on the surface, especially the claim that up to $810 more per month could be unlocked in 28 states. But what no one prepared us for was how easily these same changes could cause financial damage if you didn't understand them properly. I want to be very clear from the beginning. These new rules helped some people, but they also hurt others, including people close to me, simply because they were unprepared or misinformed. At first, I assumed the system would automatically adjust everything in my favor. I believed that if more money was available, it would naturally show up in my account. That assumption turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes I could have made. The reality is that Social Security in 2026 is no longer a passive system. It reacts to your decisions, your timing, your records, and even your state of residence. If you don't take action, the system does not protect you from loss. When these changes were announced, many people around me ignored them. Some thought the rules only applied to future retirees. Others believed it was only relevant to people in certain income brackets. A few assumed it was just political noise that wouldn't actually affect real payments. I was surrounded by that mindset, and for a short time, I shared it. But then I started seeing delays, unexpected adjustments, and confusion around payments. That's when I realized that doing nothing was costing us money every single month. The biggest shock came when I learned how the new 2026 calculation methods work. The cost of living adjustment formula has changed, and unlike previous years, it now places far more weight on real-world expenses like housing, healthcare, and daily necessities. In theory, this sounds like good news, and for many people it is. But in practice, it also means that if your records, claiming strategy, or state-based eligibility are not aligned with the new system, you may not receive the full benefit you are entitled to. In some cases, people actually experienced temporary reductions or freezes while their information was being reviewed. This is exactly what happened to me and a few people close to me. Earnings records that hadn't been updated in years suddenly mattered more than ever. Small discrepancies that were ignored before now triggered reviews. Payments were paused or adjusted, and for households relying heavily on Social Security, even a short disruption caused stress and real hardship. That was the moment I decided I could not afford to stay uninformed. I knew there had to be a way to protect myself from further loss, and position myself to benefit from these changes instead of being harmed by them. What I discovered is something I wish someone had explained clearly from the start. The 2026 rules don't just increase benefits, they reward awareness. They favor people who understand delayed retirement credits, who know how their state interacts with federal benefits, and who actively monitor their Social Security records. In 28 states, federal benefits now work alongside state-level supplements, healthcare offsets, and income-based assistance in a way that can dramatically increase monthly support. But none of this helps you if you don't know how to access it, or if you miss critical steps along the way. Delayed retirement credits play a much bigger role now than they did before. People who waited past full retirement age are seeing the strongest increases, especially when those credits are combined with the new cost of living adjustments. I personally saw how two people with very similar work histories ended up with vastly different monthly incomes simply because one claimed early and the other waited. Under the 2026 rules, that gap has grown even wider. This is not speculation. These are real outcomes happening right now. Another major issue that caused losses for many people was the assumption that state benefits don't matter. In reality, the state you live in can make a difference of hundreds of dollars per month. Some states provide supplemental payments that do not reduce your Social Security. Others offer relief programs that effectively increase your disposable income by lowering expenses like healthcare or property taxes. When these programs are coordinated correctly with your federal benefits, the total monthly impact can approach the 810 figure being discussed. But if you are unaware of these programs or fail to meet updated eligibility requirements, you may miss out entirely. Dave Ramsey often talks about personal responsibility when it comes to money, and this situation proves his point perfectly. Social Security was never designed to replace personal planning, but it also wasn't designed to punish people who pay attention. The system doesn't reward assumptions. It rewards preparation. I learned that the hard way. Once I realized what was happening, I adopted a new approach. I reviewed my earnings history line by line. I studied how my state's programs interact with Social Security. I adjusted my expectations and my strategy. That decision is what stopped the losses and allowed me to start seeing the benefits instead. The reason I am sharing all of this with you is simple. I don't want you to go through the same confusion, stress, and financial loss that I did. Many people will hear about these 2026 changes and think they are automatically protected. Others will assume the system is too complex and give up before they even start. Both reactions lead to the same outcome: missed money and unnecessary hardship. The truth is that once you understand how the rules work, the system becomes far less intimidating. There is also a serious misunderstanding about who these changes affect. This is not just about retirees. Survivors, disabled beneficiaries, and spouses are all impacted by the new rules. In fact, updated survivor benefit coordination has already helped some families receive adjustments they were owed for years. But again, this only happens when records are accurate and claims are handled correctly. I have seen widows and widowers receive increased support simply because someone finally took the time to review their situation under the new framework. Another important lesson from this experience is timing. Some of the most damaging losses happened simply because people waited too long to act. Reviews take time, corrections take time, state programs have deadlines. Every month you delay addressing an issue is a month of income you may never recover. That realization changed how I approach Social Security entirely. I no longer see it as something that runs quietly in the background. I see it as a system that requires attention, just like any other major financial resource. I want to emphasize that this video is not about fear. It's about awareness. Yes, the changes can cause harm if you ignore them, but they can also create real financial relief if you understand them. I personally benefited once I adopted the right approach, and that's why I'm sharing everything I learned. The method I used is not complicated, but it does require you to stay engaged, ask questions, and verify information instead of assuming everything is fine. As 2026 unfolds, the gap between those who understand Social Security and those who don't will continue to grow. Some people will see meaningful increases that help them keep up with rising costs. Others will struggle without realizing that help was available all along. The difference will not be luck. It will be knowledge and action. Social Security is changing, and pretending it isn't is no longer an option. That is why I strongly encourage you to watch this entire video carefully. I have explained the full process I followed, the mistakes I made, and the steps that finally worked for me. If you care about protecting your income, supporting your family, and avoiding unnecessary financial loss, this information matters. And if you believe it could help someone else, please share it with them. These changes affect millions of people, and the more informed we are, the fewer people will suffer simply because they didn't know what to do.